Hello, everyone. This is Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Welcome to This Week in Bitcoin. Today is December the 28th, 2018. My grandmother turns 96 today. Strong hand, long-term thinking, unconfiscatable. What other catchphrase words can I value your wealth in Bitcoin? Offended by selling, be a unique beast. Holder of last resort. I just had to say, because this is the final This Week in Bitcoin show of the year, I had to just say a million different things. I am obviously so excited. Wake up, United States. Yeah, it's just 6 a.m. there, but you better be awake because I got people from all over the world here. First of all, I'm in Tel Aviv, Israel, as you all know. We got Hass McCook. He's making his debut. He is in lovely Sydney, Australia, where it's warm, where it's summer. Yes, people, in the Southern Hemisphere, it is summer. Learn it. Travel there. It's awesome. All right. And we got Boris, the Game King. He's coming in from, you're in Amsterdam,
yes.
Right?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. And you got Boris. He transcends, he goes way beyond crypto. He is into gaming and everything. He interviewed me back in January. We were in, or was it February? It was January, February in Taipei, Taiwan. And that's Disrupt Meister. You can check that out. Check out the archive. So it's great to have him on my show. So we're going to talk about a lot of things. Now, obviously, end of the year, we'll have some predictions. We'll go over what happened in 2018. So this is a mega show. We might have another guest. I don't know where he is, but hey, these dudes can talk a lot. I can talk a lot. But let's start out with just a news that came out in the last few hours. Now, everybody, have your strong hand. Don't panic. Don't freak out. But there's a little Trezor vulnerability and Ledger. If someone can get a hold of it, some tech dudes have figured out. I'm sure they'll correct the issue, but let Hass, welcome to the show, explain what this is all about.
So the guys over at wallet.fail have figured out that if you keep poor Trezor hygiene and don't protect your stash with a passphrase, you may be in a little bit of trouble if a very highly tech-savvy thief comes through to your place and grabs a hold of your physical Trezor. So this could be serious. It's always good when these kinds of vulnerabilities are found, especially by white hats. So this can give a chance for the Trezor and Ledger guys to patch it up. Hopefully they patch it up soon enough. But yeah, if your stuff is not passphrase protected, go and do that right now if you can.
Yeah, there's the solution, people. Just use a passphrase. That takes care of this issue. I'm sure they'll come up with a patch though, and they'll come up with their press releases soon that'll discuss what this vulnerability is. Again, this can't happen if you're by yourself. You plug in your Trezor to your computer. No one's going to hack into it. This is like they have to be there and they have to know this problem. And so I linked to the tweet below where Hass actually tweeted this out, and I just learned about it today. Boris, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, when I first read it, I was really worried. I know lots of people who treat their hardware wallets like pretty casual. You know, they leave it lying around at work, in a desk drawer, something like that. And I'd be able to do something like that. And then just the thought that just your password is not enough, and that your funds are not really secure. It to be honest, it made me worried a little bit.
Yeah, well, on a theoretical level, I can see where it could cause people to worry, but it would take quite a thief to do. Now, again, if you're a known person and someone knows you have a Trezor and they know about this kind of thing and you don't have a passphrase on it, then yeah, you're in trouble, I guess. But hey, put on the passphrase, people. Do not worry. Be happy. This is not like all the Trezors of the world or all the other the ledgers of the world aren't about to be wiped clean of their Bitcoin or anything like that. Again, check out the links below, and of course, check out the links below to check out these dudes' Twitters so you can learn more about them. You can follow them and check out their podcasts and their shows and everything they're doing. And of course, since you're up so early in the morning, some of you, pound that like button. And of course, where Hass is right now, it's nighttime. I mean, what time is it there in Austin, Sydney?
It's yeah, just after 10 p.m.
Dude,
So
but
speaking
they're
to you
still
guys from the future.
those kids are just starting the party right now. I mean, I would go running. I mean, again, this was in Melbourne, but I'm sure it's the same thing in Sydney. I'd go running on a Sunday morning at 7 a.m. and the bars were just letting out and stuff. I mean, the people there are they're partying. So speaking of parties, there's going to be a huge party all over the world on January the 3rd. That's the 10-year anniversary of Bitcoin. And here in Tel Aviv, you can link. I'll be at the party. I'll be live streaming. You can check out those links below if you want to attend or whatever. But also, that is the day of Trace Mayer's proof of keys. So, you know, we're talking about safety and storage right now. So, Hass, what are your thoughts? Well, I guess two-pronged question. Are you going to be partying it up on January 3rd, or is there anything big planned that day? But what are your thoughts on this proof of keys thing?
So with the proof of keys, I personally won't be participating simply because I've got no keys on anyone's websites or exchanges. They're already safe on my password protected Trezor, so I'm all good. But I will be on the beach partying and telling all my mates about there are more private keys available to us than grains of sand on the beach. So it'll be very interesting to everyone. But yeah, definitely at the beach on January the 3rd.
That's a great reminder. There are more private keys theoretically than grains of sand out there. Well, it's a great day, you know, to party, but when everyone is partying and drinking, you should remind your friends of this Trace Mayer proof of keys thing. This is a great time to take your Bitcoin off those exchanges and put them on your hardware wallet. Boris, did you know about this proof of keys thing?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm to be honest, I'm really interested where Trace got this idea. I mean, there's all these rumors that there's exchanges that are not really capable of covering all of their outstanding funds. If that's the case, and we actually, I mean, nobody knows what's going to happen, but if it goes south and we'll see some exchanges get into real trouble if everybody withdraws their funds. On the other hand, I everybody around me really likes the idea, and I don't think everybody's going to do it, because the people that will keep their funds on exchanges, they're not really in touch with receiving messages like this. They're not really into like the activist part of Bitcoin. I'm afraid lots of people are just going to leave their funds on these exchanges, and some exchanges might even just decide to pause everything on January 3rd just out of a precaution.
I think you hit the nail on the head. That most people who deal with exchanges, they don't hear about these type of things, and no, it's not going to make that big of a difference. They're not enough 20%ers. They're not enough people who understand what a private key even is. What, you know, so many people use Coinbase as a Bitcoin bank. I think there are more people with that attitude in crypto than there are with traces. Now, this whole experiment, this whole January 3rd proof of keys thing is to change people's minds. It's to slowly change people's minds. It would be beautiful if the exchanges did fear this enough that they closed down deposit or withdrawals that day. That would be amazing, but I don't think that will happen. I do think the theoretical situation that you discussed about how some of these exchanges don't have what they say they do is true. That there are a lot of them that are doing some fractional reserve type of nastiness, but this is not going to call them out. It would be beautiful if it did. Hass, what do you think about that? Are there a lot of exchanges lying out there?
Hard to say. Don't want to cause a panic, but definitely, I don't see exchanges pausing withdrawals, as that would be the Barbara Streisand effect of all Streisand effects. Because people start to look into why the hell are these guys, you know, pausing withdrawals, and find out all about the proof of keys movement.
That would trigger it right there, wouldn't it? Well, I know that people who are familiar with this show know all about controlling their own private keys, and when you do that, that's when it's unconfiscatable there. By the way, I just wanted to show everybody. I've worn this shirt before, the Game King shirt. This is
That's a beautiful shirt, Adam.
Yeah, well, it was beautiful. I have run in this shirt a lot, so it's got marks on it and stuff. But yeah, check out Game Kings. Let's talk about gaming real quick. Why not? Why not talk? Because I've always thought it's a great partner with crypto. That kids, that young guys out there, they love the game. They love to play these games. I'm no expert on that. That's why I bring on an expert here. But I think it's a natural transition. People who are playing video games, they could easily understand crypto. So what are you, any thoughts on that, Mr. Game King, Boris?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think, I mean, in my experience, gamers, I mean, first of all, all gamers are tech savvy, especially when you started gaming in the 90s. You'll be playing PC games, you'll be building your own PCs. It would be a small step from building a game PC to actually mining Bitcoin or some crypto. But more importantly, I think gamers grew up with the idea that you can have something like digital currency. You can actually live in a world where you create your own rules, and that's the interesting part of it. I mean, there's been a lot of research about why people play video games, and some people play video games because they like the challenge. You know, they want to beat other people at playing a soccer match or whatever, something like that. That's the verse. That's the esport part of playing games. But there's another really big group, and I think it's like 60 or 70% that play video games as a form of escapism. Like get out of the daily grind. I mean, if your school sucks or whatever, you just play video games and you live in a world that's just much friendlier or more to your liking, or where you can be who you want to be without being judged by everybody. That's why people play video games. And if you take that as a given, it's so obvious that you would have something like a digital currency. I remember I gave a talk, and I think it was early 2000 or something. I gave a talk at a technical university in the Netherlands, and it was about a game called EVE Online. And it's like a role-playing game. It's a space role-playing game. It's huge. There were hundreds of thousands of players, and they had an in-game currency, and it was pegged to the dollar. And for some reason, the creators of this game just gave you the option to do whatever you like. You could scam, you could steal, you could rob, you could do whatever you like. And that actually happened. And somebody built a bank. And that's that's the best scam ever. So somebody builds a bank and collects like 80% of all currency in game, and posts this video on YouTube and says that he's had enough and he's committing suicide, and he just never heard of again. And what the interesting part of it is that the developers of the video game, they were charged because the currency was actually pegged to the dollar. So gamers were losing actual money. And I remember that the law department of Harvard University actually took that case and studied it because it was the first time ever that digital currencies were connected to crime. And that's when I saw that, I was like, yeah, man, that's fascinating. And I mean, remember those days when you were trying to explain to your mom why someone would pay $1,000 for a sword or something like that, or for a video game in a video game. And I mean, gamers understand why something that's digital can have value. And whenever I have this endless discussions with people who are like coming from the gold world or whatever, and they're asking me the same thing, like, why does Bitcoin have intrinsic value? Blah blah blah. You know, it's the same thing. Gamers understand how something digital can have intrinsic value because it takes you a week of grinding to actually buy that sort or get that digital asset or whatever. And Bitcoin's no different than that. And I think people who play video games understand the game theory part of Bitcoin in a very early stage.
Dude, that was freaking awesome explanation. Pound that like button. It sounds like those dudes came up with the first stable coin ever back in the day. Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on what Boris just said? Or on stable coin? Or old stable?
Totally agree. First, just want to give a shout out to .esports.com. So I'm involved with them, one of the leading media coverers of the esports industry. And being an Aussie, and all the Aussie viewers can relate to this, we love having a bet. And that's where I see digital currencies, Bitcoin and Litecoin, coming in to the gaming industry. specifically the esports and esports betting sphere. There's nothing bigger these days now than esports. Esports competitions literally having prize money now in the millions and millions of dollars. And just as we like betting on the horses, on the footy, we even bet on politics over here in Australia. We'd love to bet on some esports real soon as well. So the digital sphere, like Boris said, tech savvy kids. Everyone likes a bet. The esports industry is worth something like 50 billion, the gaming industry is worth something like $50 billion. And yeah, there's a definite future with crypto in esports gaming, and the Lightning networks made that all that much easier. And I'm sure that segues us into our next discussion point on Lightning.
It does, but and it also segues us into predictions for 2019. Will esports and crypto combine? Will it be a bigger crossover? But you said something. I caught something interesting that you said there, that people ask me about this, and I'm just like, yeah, whatever. You said Litecoin. Are you a Litecoin fan? Do you think it has a future? Do you think 2019 and Litecoin? You said Litecoin in your talk right then.
No, I think I said Lightning.
Oh, you did? I thought you said Bitcoin and Litecoin at some point.
Bitcoin and Lightning.
So, yeah, okay. I was just seeing, because some people are like, "Oh, no, Litecoin's the next best thing to Bitcoin. You got that they'll be using that for small transactions." And
I won't be, but that's the best thing about freedom. So you can do whatever you want, but if you know what's good for you, it's Bitcoin and opening channels up in Lightning.
Oh yeah, I'm on that page with you. I just thought maybe you had just opened up a whole can of worms for all those freaks out there that love that Litecoin. There's some of those people out there that are always, what do you think about Litecoin? There's really not much I can say about Litecoin. It's just like Bitcoin, but I mean, what's the point? Anyway, okay, good. So let's talk about Lightning Network then. No Litecoin here. Sorry, Litecoin guys. All right, here. Okay, Lightning. This is from, who is this? Time value of this is from Nick Baccia, actually. Oh, this is a mouthful. Lightning devs / companies are building a transaction layer, a UX layer, a privacy layer, and a capital market layer all at the same time. This should have your attention. Well, it has my attention. But are you, Nick, who made that awesome tweet, are you talking a big gain here that's not going to happen until like 2021? Again, we make huge predictions like this. I would love if Lightning Network solves the user experience problem with Bitcoin. Because again, right now it's Bitcoin can kind of be messy. If you're trying to send a Bitcoin, you got to see all these. If Lightning can make the UX an easy UX layer, that would be great. But I know all these things that Nick mentioned. They are going to happen. I'm just the type of guy, I've been hearing about great things about to happen on so many different levels of Bitcoin for a while, and it usually takes us much longer than we originally thought. So what do you expect for Lightning in 2019, Boris? Or should we be more patient with it?
No, absolutely. I run my own Lightning node. I mean, it's a holiday now in the Netherlands, and I've been playing around with the Raspberry Blitz release. So I run a Lightning node on a Raspberry Pi, and I've noticed how it was harder than I thought. I mean, the installation wasn't hard. It was just hard to understand the concept that receiving funds on Lightning is not something that you have to take for granted. It's not as easy as receiving a Bitcoin payment. So I think a lot of work needs to be done to be able to receive funds. And the reason I say this is I'm working on a new project where we allow gamers to start wager matches, which means that, I mean, if the three of us would play a video game or a soccer tournament or whatever in FIFA or whatever, we could just wager, I don't know, 50 cents on it or a dollar, and the winner would take those would take the wager, and a little would go to the platform. But doing something like that right now on the Lightning Network, because that's what we're planning to use, is extremely difficult, and Lightning is just not there yet. But on the other hand, I mean, the pace at which at which Lightning is developed, it's insane. I mean, 8 months ago, I wouldn't have been able to even get Lightning running on a Raspberry Pi or on any computer for that matter. And now I need little technical knowledge. It's easy to install, but yeah, we're not there yet. On the gamer side, there is some. What's really interesting. Some people have written some plugins for a very popular game engine. And they are it's called Unity, and they would allow you to do Lightning transactions in game. And what I really like about this is that if you play video games, the way that you're rewarded is usually very abstract. You might get some points, or I mean, what's a point? It's nothing. It's just some number that the game gives you. I'd rather have a few satoshis. I mean, what if we have we play a fighting game together, and every hit is worth 1 satoshi? I mean, it doesn't stand for much value in dollar wise, but what it does to you, I mean, the feeling of reward when you actually win actual money playing video games, that's insane. That's like every gamer's dream, that you can make a living playing video games. I mean, that's what the esporters are doing now, and that's coming to the masses, and Lightning is actually going to enable that.
Whoa. I love it. I love hearing positive things about Lightning Network and that the combined gaming. And I like your approach. You're like, it is difficult right now. We're going to have to be patient. It's not simple, but it will be easier in the future. And I commend you for running a Lightning node, for getting into this. Hass, what are your thoughts on Lightning Network? I'm sure you've got a lot. And is it going to be easier in 2019? Is 2019 the year of the Lightning Network?
2018 is the year of the Lightning Network. So I'm gonna share my screen over here. I'll tell you that I am probably the least tech savvy person you'll ever meet in your life, and I've got 2 Lightning nodes up and running. So I've got one from Casa that plugged in and worked. But while I was waiting for the Casa, I did something. The Rochard node. I'm not sure if you guys know about that, but Pierre Rochard, one of the legends, OGs of the game, has produced one of the easiest Bitcoin node solutions in the world. I'll actually show it in action. Actually, why don't I share my screen over here?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so you can. I've put a link for Pierre's guide over in the troll box in the chat. And you can just search for this guide over on Google. Just type in Pierre Rochard or easiest Bitcoin Lightning guide. So you follow this step by step, and what will result is something you simply click on, pops open Bitcoin Core. You launch your Bitcoin node, does everything by itself. Once that loads up, you launch your Lightning node, does everything by itself. And then once you're done, you pop open your Zap desktop wallet, and everything works on its own. And then you can pop open your dual Chrome extension wallet and pay from inside Chrome as well. So there's really nothing easier at the moment. So as long as you have 8 or 9 gigs ready to go on your laptop, you can be up and running in Lightning in about, I don't know, between 4 and 24 hours, depending on your internet connection, just to get your blockchain synced up for the very first time, and then you're basically in action. So it's here, it's clear, and basically now we're just waiting on the waves of adoption to come through. There are people dedicated now to really building this thing out and making it easy. And all I know is that these solutions are basically hash-proof. So I recommend everyone check out Pierre's guide and get it going.
All right, this is good. And so you played around. You sent some Bitcoin over to Lightning Network. It was pretty easy for you then. Super
easy.
Okay, this is. Hey, and
I haven't received anything yet though. But I'm imagining receiving would possibly be as easy as sending.
Okay, so you haven't received any yet, but that's fine. And I do want to remind everyone, there are people encouraging you to use that Lightning Network already. Now, again, is it 100% safe yet? I mean, I don't want anyone to make any big mistakes or anything like that. But I do know that, like here in this Tel Aviv Bitcoin party on the 3rd, if you spend with Lightning Network, it only costs like $6 to get into the party. They have a huge discount if you use Lightning Network, and again, and a huge discount if you use Bitcoin, because again, they value their wealth in Bitcoin. Just wanted to throw that out there for all the people, because I love to align myself with people who value their wealth in Bitcoin, who would rather get Bitcoin than fiat any day. So I'm glad that you're having an easy time with it. I hope people become more comfortable with it. And do you agree that it is going to rock the Bitcoin world? That it really, I mean, that's what Nick Botch's tweet basically was saying. Has.
I think the Lightning Network is the most important thing to happen to Bitcoin since Bitcoin itself.
Whoa,
That's beautiful.
That's big. Pound that like button, people, for that bold statement. Well, okay, so we're talking. You said this was the year of Lightning. I wouldn't. I mean, it started. Yeah, that was cool. But I want to hear, Boris. How are you going to remember 2018? What are you going to think? I mean, what was this year like for you?
It was insane. I started doing a podcast in January, and it was for the Dutch equivalent of the Financial Times. And we have all these really high-end guests, and we have people from Central Bank in the Netherlands. We have people from politics, from journalism, economists. And what I've noticed, and it's really weird. I mean, I'm in Bitcoin for a couple of years, and the rabbit hole I went through and the stuff that I've learned, I've taken it for granted a little bit. And when I talk to these people, I notice that they really might understand one certain aspect of Bitcoin. They can understand the economic side, or some of them understand the technical side of it, but none of them understands the whole picture. And you cannot understand Bitcoin if you don't get the whole picture. And once that idea crept in my brain, I was looking for it, and I realized that whenever you hear someone say something dumb about Bitcoin, and even if those are real high profile people, the reason why that happens is because they just don't understand all value aspects of Bitcoin. And I started to think about it, and I realized, like, okay, what are these value aspects of Bitcoin and maybe other cryptocurrencies as well? And I realized that Bitcoin has a value property it has a technical value property. I mean, that's how it started. You know, we all, it's hard to understand Bitcoin if you don't get the technical side of it. It has a speculative value aspect, and lots of people saw that in 2017. You know, I mean, all shit coins have speculative value properties as well. But Bitcoin is in 2018. Bitcoin started to gain some economic value properties, and you see that in the way that it's the adoption curve, the network effect. That's what Trace Mayer is talking about. And what I've seen is that all the other altcoins, they fail to get to this point of actually gaining economic properties. So where they might be able to have some speculative properties or are literally technical copies of Bitcoin, the economic side, it cannot be copied. And that's why all these Bitcoiners got so pissed off when Bcash tried that, because they were going for the economic value properties of Bitcoin. And every Bitcoiner was like, this is theft. We're not going to do this. We're not going to stand for this. And I realized this in 2018. And whenever I started talking about someone, I realized, like, there's so few people out there who understand all these different value properties of Bitcoin and are actually able to talk about it. And I mean, I'm in a bubble. I watch Adam Meister online. I watch all the podcasts. So I'm in a bubble. So for me, it seems like everybody understands this stuff, but it's not the case. And that's something I realized that, and I think people start to realize that as well. When you hear politicians talk about Bitcoin, the stuff that we saw in Australia with the law for on encryption. I mean, that's just so retarded. People have all these theories about some conspiracy theory, like, yeah, the government wants in on this. It's just plain dumbness. I mean, these people don't get anything. So I start seeing that, and once you see that, it cannot be unseen. And that, for me, that's 2018, and it includes all the shit coins. It includes all the people talking about Bitcoin, not understanding it, keep repeating the same question: what's the intrinsic value? And I'm like, how can you not understand the whole picture? You know, I mean, it's a given that it has value. I mean, start there, don't question that, start there and see where it leads you, because that's where the rabbit hole starts. And that's for me, that's 2018.
Whoa, that is awesome. He brought up Australia there too, so you could address that, because I think people are interested in that. But what was your take on 2018? What were some things that stuck out for you?
Yeah, 2018 was a good year in terms of experts and strong hands rising to the top of the heap. So a lot of FUD came out, and now there's a lot more of anti-FUD troops on the front line. So the body of expertise is growing. The number of experts are growing. The podcasts are fire. The only negative aspect of the year was price declines and shitcoins not dying off soon enough. So I think there's a lot of people holding a lot of heavy bags, holding on to a lot of hope, and hopefully 2019 is a for better or worse, better year for them. I think once they realize that Bitcoin is the way, it'll be a better year if they keep holding out hope. Whatever it is, Vertcoin or whatever it's called, is going to make a comeback, then it's probably going to be a bad year.
All right. Well, first of all, I was going to say, for me, this was a strong hand year. That's what the lesson was. This was a weed out year. If you couldn't take this, then you dropped out. I made the comparison before to college, when kids are trying to become doctors. The organic chemistry is the weed out class. Like, if you can't pass that, then you're not going to be a doctor. That's it. Go do something else. Go be a marketing major, like Adam might. But no, this was definitely a weed out year. But I want to get everyone prepared. We're gonna talk about what we think about for 2019. I would just caution people: if you had a strong hand in 2018 and you didn't get weeded out, then keep that same mentality. Prepare for 2019 to be like 2018. That it's going to be a continuation of the weed out year. That you're going to need to have your strong hand still. That there are going to be a lot of fudsters. Again, I went through this in 2014 and 15, so I'm prepared for 2018 and 19 to be like 2014 and 15. So it's just but I'm a positive thinker, because I know that, you know what? Yeah. So if 2019 is like 2018, there's going to be a 2020 also, and that will be like 2016. So and there's always a brighter day around the horizon. We have to have a long-term thinking and deferral of gratification. But I want everyone to be prepared to defer gratification longer than you might expect. So that's my take on what 2018 was all about, and it showed who had the conviction in this space. It really showed who had the Bitcoin conviction. So, as I was beforehand, as everyone can tell, my smile is just as big as it was at the start of the year as it is at the end of the year, because with the Lightning Network, there's so much going on that's positive, that's going to happen in 2019. So let's before we get into our 2019 predictions, I do want to read something about altcoins here, because this has to bring up altcoins. And this is from JW Weatherman. I'm pretty sure the scam coin war is over, and that Lightning Network was the final and decisive blow. We did a good job slowing the damage while the tech matured to idiot level understanding, but I don't think it's necessary moving forward. All right. I think that the scam coins are still going to be around. I don't think altcoins are going to disappear. I think I don't think there's a war with them, first of all, either. But JW's he phrases things the way he phrases things. Hass, what do you think the altcoins will still be around in 2019? You don't think Lightning was the final nail in their coffin, do you?
As long as human behavior and psychology is an interesting one, and as long as people have hope in these altcoins, they'll survive. Really, this isn't a mature market. Reason isn't king in crypto just yet. And typically, when people start seeing reason, there's a migration to Bitcoin. So it's effectively an issue of when people see reason, the altcoins will start to die off. I do think Lightning Network is the final coffin. People just don't know it yet. And if it's not Lightning Network, that's the final coffin. It'll be side chains and the other second layer solutions.
Yeah, I agree. There's not that much reason, and I think eventually we're going to have a whole new influx of unreasonable people. I don't think we've seen our altcoin dot. I think it might be in 2021 that we see all sorts of newbies come in thinking that their coin is the next Bitcoin. Yeah, in theory, Lightning Network should be the last nail in the coffin, but it's probably gonna get put off quite a while because we just don't have reasonable thinking people enough. There are going to be a lot of 80%ers. But hey, that's the wacky world. If you just hold your Bitcoin, you're fine. Boris, what do you think about altcoins and the future?
I'm afraid we're not done with them yet. I like how price. I mean, I don't like the price discussion, but I like how price makes people right or feel right. I mean, end of 2017, and every kid that made turned $100 into $10,000, they felt like they were geniuses and they were on top of the world. And to be honest, a little of that is still in the Bitcoin hodler community. I mean, everybody who started around 2014 or before that, they're still way above water, so they're still going to be happy. And since price is emotion and price is treated as something that makes you right, makes you have the right opinion. I think we're going to see that go on in 2019, and I'm sure the altcoins will return. I have no doubt about it. I mean, there's just these hordes of people waiting to buy in again as soon as it goes up. I really have no doubt that we'll see a return of the 2017 craziness.
One day. Well, let's talk about 2019, Boris. What do you see for 2019? Just in general.
I really like the way that Bitcoin development is going, and I really like how I really like how Lightning is turning out. I really like how people are looking for ways to actually implement it in their business cases. I mean, I'm building something like that. I see that around me a lot. I work in media, and there's lots of problem with. I mean, we have the largest gaming platform in the Netherlands, and we have like 90+% of people, visitors using ad blockers. So there's no revenue from advertising anymore. So how are we going to deal with that? And I think Lightning and tipping on Lightning or through Lightning is going to play a major role in that. We're not there yet exactly, but I think that's coming along fine. And I'm really surprised that on the one hand how slow it goes, and on the other hand how fast it goes. It's kind of like watching bread in a toaster. When you look at it and wait for it to pop out, it won't happen. But you turn around and poof, it's there all of a sudden. And I think that's the way Lightning development works. And I know so many people who are actually coming up with ideas, building stuff. I'm not sure, but maybe you have an opinion on this. But a year ago, I found it really, really, really hard to find developers who had some knowledge about Bitcoin development. And right now, I see like there's a whole new generation learning and understanding the tools and starting to work with it. And I think we will I mean, the horde, it's not going to be just the adopters, it's going to be the developers as well. And we're going to see that in 2019. I mean, there's some colleges who are picking it up, but most of all, the tools are here. The tools to start your journey in development rabbit hole. They are here. They're easy to get. The community is very open, very supportive. Um, I think we'll see a lot of new developers coming in 2019.
All right, that would be great. And yeah, sometimes it feels like things are moving really slow, but they are moving faster than they appear, definitely. And be patient. Let's not rush things. Haas, what are your 2019 predictions? Not your thoughts in general, what we're about to experience.
All right, so I'll get on the soapbox right here. So get ready to pound that like button. And basically, some people say, they're here in Bitcoin for the price. Other people say they're here for the tech. I've got a pretty good day job, so I don't care too much about the price. I'm too dumb to understand the tech, but I am here for the freedom. So I see Bitcoin as a tool for our freedom. And basically, when I look at the market price, that's basically a representative of what people value their freedom at. And currently, not a lot of people value their freedom, it would seem. So I view Bitcoin almost as a way of life and religion of sorts. And I've put a link in there about a piece I wrote about Bitcoin and religion. And I see Bitcoin as sort of the church of Satoshi. And I basically tithe this church. So every single week, I put between 10 and 20% of my wage into Bitcoin, no matter what the price. And freedom isn't free. And we've got to put our proverbial nuts on the table and play the game. So if people decide to wake up to this and tithe the church every week with 10%, people can wake up and realize that freedom is important. And if we can get, 200,000 out of the 50 million Bitcoin users to put 10% of their wage for the fight towards freedom, Bitcoin will be worth $100,000 each tomorrow. But who knows if people will wake up or not. So I can't give a price prediction because I view things in a different light. So I can't really make rational decisions. All I know is that I tithe every week. So just like the proof of keys movement has caught on, and I'm happy it has, I really sincerely hope that the tithing movement will catch on to the community because it's various and numerous. If we all get behind this, we're unstoppable.
Well, I actually did look at that article because it is linked to in your Twitter, and I linked to his Twitter below. I'll add his article to the links below after the show, definitely. Well, I do hope that savings catches on again, that people understand you got to save. You call it tithing and everything. I mean, I see the comparison there. But I mean, so many Westerners would just rather have a new big screen TV than put away a little bit, turn their fiat into this new form, this better form of money. They would rather just turn into a big screen TV, which loses value immediately, or a car, which loses value immediately. But I mean, that's what we're here for, to teach people, to teach people that savings is good, savings is cool, and that in the long run you will be quite pleased about that. Now, and I do hope that in 2019. Movements like this do spread. I can hope that what Trace is doing, what you're suggesting, that people catch on to this stuff, that people become more of they can defer gratification. But some of the mainstream people are making some 2019 predictions out there. Some of the generic publications have said stable coins are the movement of 2019. I mean, there are people that have said this. To me, that's ridiculous. But since you guys haven't been on the show before, I haven't heard your opinions on stable coins. Haas, do you have an opinion on stable coins?
Yeah, what's the point? Just keep your money in cash under your mattress or in a bank. Like, what's the point of a stable coin?
There you go, people. And that's a very respectable point right there, I got to say. How about you, Boris?
Yeah, same here. I mean, I'm not using them. I'm not a trader. I can imagine if you're on some exchange and you really need to get out of your holdings fast, it serves a purpose. But no, not for me. But I would like to add something to the what Has just said, and that's the revolution part of Bitcoin. And I mean, we saw some pretty interesting stuff going on in Paris. In the last couple of weeks, we saw the yellow vest running around with the "Buy Bitcoin" written on it. I saw a documentary on Venezuela the other day, and it was about the role that Bitcoin is playing there, and it's a stable coin in Venezuela compared to the Bolivar, even though we have we experience all these price fluctuations in Venezuela. This is, I mean, the context is completely different. And I think that if you look at these countries and these examples, I think we might see the early signs of the next stage that Bitcoin is going to enter. And I'm not sure if that's going to happen in 2019 already, but it will happen soon. And I think when Bitcoin really completes the adaptation of its economic value properties, we're going to go to the next level, and that's when Bitcoin is actually gaining some political value property. And when that's happening, I mean, all hell is going to break loose. This is going to be really interesting. I know some people who are really close to large OTC traders, and the kind of buy orders that we've seen this year, they're changing. And in the beginning, it was like if you want to buy 2 million or 3 million worth of Bitcoin, you go OTC. In 2018, we've seen that money is not enough anymore. I mean, the orders are starting at 10 million or going up from that. That means that if you have just a few million dollars to buy Bitcoin with, you're going to have to go to the exchanges. And if this is something that's going to play out in 2019, it's going to mean something really exceptional for the price. But it's also going to mean something for countries or politicians or big companies that start to really use Bitcoin as for its value properties. And if you gain this political value property, we might even see the first stages of countries, big institutions actually buying into Bitcoin to add to their asset reserves. And I'm really interested if we're going to see countries like North Korea or maybe Venezuela. I mean, I'm not sure we'll see Western countries yet, but those kind of countries, if they'll start doing something with Bitcoin, it would be a very logical next step to actually start mining Bitcoin as well, because like every national reserve has a big vault where they keep their gold. If you are a country and you buy Bitcoin, you're gonna need a big server park to actually mine Bitcoin and to protect your interest, your investment. So this is something that we might see with the countries who are really in trouble, like North Korea, like Venezuela. I'm really curious how this is going to play out in 2019. Could be very interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll happen in 2019, but one of these days we're going to learn that there's been a country that's been stockpiling Bitcoin, and it's going to pay off for them in a major way. And once that news is out, then it'll just be a peaceful war between the countries to acquire more Bitcoin for their reserves. So, well, has he brought up political Bitcoin, and I want to know in Australia what they have a law where you got to give up your information. What is the privacy laws there? It's a little weird. What's going on over there?
So we don't have a very technically competent government, unfortunately. So they've effectively mandated a law. It's a lot more complex than I'm saying, but it's effectively they're mandating that all companies are forced and must put backdoors in all of their products, so that the authorities can go and gain access to whoever they want. Really, they don't really need reasonable cause. It's just a complete shit fight that was rushed through Parliament in the last session of the year, and we'll just have to see what happens. But I believe it's unenforceable. But other people may know better than me. But these kinds of things are a game of cat and mouse. When you ban something, it's usually only banned for the people that follow the rules. The criminals are always going to do their own thing anyway. So a backdoor is going to be more beneficial to a criminal than it is to the law. So who knows? We'll see what happens.
Well, you can opt out of that system, people, by opting into Bitcoin, because there are no backdoors in the Bitcoin. And
unless you don't have a passphrase on your Trezor.
Okay, I don't want to scare people here. Don't scare people. All right, excellent. What else do we have here? I wanted to bring up a lot. That's something that's been in the news recently, since this is This Week in Bitcoin. Let's get into some Bitmain. Everyone's predicting the end of Bitmain. I think they'll be able to survive. He seems to be a smart guy, Rocket Man Wu. Do you guys have any thoughts on Bitmain or Bcash?
I think it's time that it would stop and go away. I mean, on the other hand, a big company like Bitmain, there's thousands of investors that don't understand Bitcoin. They don't understand anything. They'll be more than happy to put their money in a company like that. I think the fundamentals of the company are weakening. Key people are leaving, but I don't think that's very much visible for the outside world. I mean, if you look at mainstream investment YouTube channels and see what they have to say about companies like that, they really don't understand the basics. So no, we're not going to see the end of Bitmain, not for a long time.
Okay, Hassan, any thoughts?
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't like Bitmain, but they're currently the cost leader and have been a cost leader for like 3 or 4 years. You can't beat them on dollar per gigahash for their mining equipment. As long as it's commercially viable to buy their products, people will keep buying their products. So they're not going away anytime soon, unless some competitor comes up with a way to produce cheaper dollars per gigahash and more efficient watts per gigahash. Simple as that.
Now, I want to go back to 2019. Something that I think many people can agree on, that in the larger world outside of our Bitcoin bubble, that an issue in 2019 that's already started to be an issue in 2018 is censorship and these social media platforms banning people, Patreon, YouTube. I see this as an opportunity for cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. I've discovered something called Bitbacker, which I'm playing around with, which is like a Patreon with crypto. Hess, do you have thoughts on the censorship that might be happening in 2019, the direction social media is going on in, and how crypto can help out?
Yes, I believe censorship is getting worse and will continue to get worse. And this comes back to my point on freedom. Look, you've got to think of Bitcoin this way. So if you want to save the environment, you donate to Greenpeace. Right? If you want to do some disaster relief, you donate to the Red Cross and all that kind of stuff. So who do you donate to in the sake of anti-censorship and economic justice? The only way to donate is to just save in Bitcoin. So it's probably the only economic justice charity in the world, and only one of 2 charities where if you donate, you become richer. With the other one being the Clinton Foundation.
No, it's good. It is good, and that I love this. I love this comparison, man. If you want, you donate to Greenpeace to save the environment. You donate to Bitcoin to save freedom. And you enrich yourself. I love it. That is, pound that like button, people. That was a good one.
And basically, the more you save, that drives price up. The more price comes up, the more hype, is generated, the more builders are drawn into the community, the more products are built, the more utility Bitcoin has, the more price goes up, the more builders come in, and so on and so forth. So if you actually want to make a difference in the world, just start saving in Bitcoin.
I like it. All right, Boris, your thoughts.
Well, I think I like how this what's happening on social media actually teaches people the value of censorship resistance. This is something like it's a term that's everybody who's in crypto understands it and has read about it and has learned it. But if I talk to no coiners and I try to explain these concepts to them, they are like yeah, but I mean, you got to trust someone, and the banks are fine, and stuff like that. They don't really understand it. But now we have these examples of social media of what happens when you have these centralized companies actually starting their censorship. And I love the examples, and I love how people are starting to think about what censorship really is and how it will work in this digital age, and how extremely important it is that people have an alternative, and Bitcoin is an alternative, and Lightning as well. And to be honest, I don't understand why content creators don't build their own patrons, and if they don't just place a Bitcoin address, that's the same thing. I mean, what else do you need? I really don't understand what the fuss is about, but that's because I'm in a bubble.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they're learning slowly what censorship resistance really means. I mean, they're slow because, as again, is people like Jordan Peterson who are very smart. They're seeing what Patreon is, and then they're like, well, let's make our own Patreon. But they're still going to have to deal with payment processors who will censor them eventually. They'll learn what it is. They'll learn that there's no eventually that with Bitcoin there's no one that's going to stop you. There's no. Again, censorship resistance right there.
Can I add something to that? That's how long would it take you to explain Bitcoin to Jordan Peterson? Because that's what I find interesting. If you talk to people, it's Bitcoin is such a broad concept, and if you have a problem and you can use Bitcoin to solve the problem, they will understand easily. But if you have to explain the completeness of the game mechanics of Bitcoin, you'll find it very difficult, and people have to go through their own rabbit hole. And I would love to see like prominent social media figures like Jordan Peterson actually learn about Bitcoin and see them stumble and make all these mistakes and start using it. I hope that's something we'll see in 2019. I mean, people like that, they have, I don't know, 2 million followers on Twitter, 3 million. If they start using Bitcoin, that would be pretty good.
You know what? I would love that to happen in 2019. I'm not saying it is going to happen. One of these days, one of those big social media guys is just going to snap in their head, and they're going to be like, I'm all Bitcoin now. Let's stop trying to reinvent the broken wheel of Patreon or YouTube or whatever. Here, I'm just listing everyone follow me, list your Bitcoin address. This is how we're going to fund ourselves now. Now, what would it take for Jordan Peterson to understand Bitcoin? I would say, here's a good first step. Andreas Antonopoulos, if you're watching this video, just make a video called Jordan Peterson. This is Bitcoin. I'm Andreas Antonopoulos. And it would be great if Andreas Antonopoulos could explain it to Jordan Peterson. Is what I'm saying. I think he would get it at that point. I think because Andreas has a very unique way of communication, and he can target specific people and talk their language. I think he could definitely talk the language of Jordan Peterson and just snap it into his head quick. Without that, though, he's going to have to the hard way. It's going to be trial and error, even with a guy like Jordan Peterson. So we shall see. We're getting here toward the end of the show. I did want to remind everyone I do a new show here every day. Even yesterday, check out yesterday's show. I had to do Saturday's show yesterday. I usually do the Beyond Bitcoin show tomorrow. I had to do it yesterday because I had no internet connection, and it was a wild story. But I got it out because I've got conviction. I've got that Bitcoin conviction. I got to get a show out here every single day. So do check that out. Check out disruptmeister.com for all the old shows. Techbalt.com, TECHBALT. That's my Twitter handle. And you can watch all the This Week in Bitcoin shows there. And dude, this has been a great This Week in Bitcoin. I love these two new guests. Guys, pound that like button. Okay, so I'll start with Hass. What did I leave anything out? Are there any news stories you want to bring up? Any stuff? Just any final thoughts?
That's about it. Remember that passphrase: get your keys off the exchange and consider tithing the Church of Satoshi.
Dude, seriously, dude, save, dude. Listen to what this dude is saying. He's got a unique way of phrasing it. Awesome. All right. I hope you will return to the show many times in 2019, dude. It was great to have you on. All right. And check out his links below. Well, let's see. Boris, I'll let you have the final words. And was anything left up? Are there any subject matters that you want to bring up? Any important stories here?
No, just
you got.
Yeah, just 10 minutes before we went live, I got sent this link to a site called tipping.me, and it allows you to use the Lightning Network to send each other tips, and people are sending each other like a couple of Satoshis and having a lot of fun with that. And I saw that, like, oh man, I wish I could have tried it out before appearing on the show, but apparently it's really good. Dennis Parker, I think you know him as well. He sent me the link, and yeah, I'm gonna be playing with Lightning a lot. I love it, and I'm even though we're in a bear market, I'm more excited about Bitcoin than I was in probably in 2017 December. It's insane, the stuff that I've learned last year. It's crazy, and I can't wait to see what's in store for next year. I mean, 2009 is going to be insane. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, we're 10 years in Bitcoin. I'm lucky that I at least went halfway for the last 5 years with Bitcoin, and I can't wait for the next 10 years. It's going to be absolutely crazy, and yeah, looking forward to it, man. And thanks for having me on the show. I love it.
Yes, return in 2019, and that is the attitude to have. If you thought these 10 years were awesome, wait till the next 10 years. It only gets better in life, people. I mean, keep that attitude. I'm glad we got to talk about some gaming today too, because hey, it's a good crossover. We got to do more gaming Bitcoin shows here. Get some of those gamers just into Bitcoin, just straight up reach out to them. Let's do some crossover like that. I like that. Maybe we'll do some more. Maybe that'll be a resolution for 2019. Do some crossover shows, not just Bitcoin. Combine it with gaming. Combine it with who knows what else is out there that needs to be combined with crypto. All right, dudes. That is the final This Week in Bitcoin of 2018. It actually was also the 100th This Week in Bitcoin show I've ever done. Wow. So hey, man. We keep on doing it. I'll keep on doing them every week in 2019. I know everybody loves these, gets a big kick out of them. Pound that like button, bang that bell button if you need reminders of when this goes live, and click on the squares at the end. And wherever you are in this world, in Australia, in Europe, in Africa, in North America, where you're just waking up from your hangover, I'm Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, Disrupt Meister. Remember to subscribe to this channel, like this video, share this video, check out the links below. Shabbat Shalom. See you tomorrow on the Late Show, and see you next year for This Week in Bitcoin. Bye-bye. See ya.